first of all, I just want to welcome everybody and thank everybody for attending today's Lunch and Learn session. So we're going to spend probably the next 40 to 45 minutes talking through and introducing our upcoming Level 7 Artificial Intelligence Data Specialist Apprenticeship course. So to start with, we're just going to just give you a little bit of information in a moment what's happening. So first of all, we'll do a little bit of introduction. So I'll explain who I am, and Phil will introduce himself to you guys as well. And then we'll give you a sort of an overview of what the course looks like and why we've chosen to do the Level 7 course. And then I'm going to hand you over to Phil, and Phil's going to kind of talk to you about all the cool stuff with regards to the apprenticeship course. I do the dry stuff. He does the cool and funky stuff. That's no representation of our personalities. It really is. And then he talks, and then he's going to give you a little bit further outline onto the course. Then we've got a little bit of a surprise for you, but I'll let Phil talk to you about that as the presentation goes on. And then at that point, we'll hand it over to you guys, and you can feel free to ask any questions. If you want to put anything in chat while you're thinking about it, and if it's relevant to that particular slide, we might well cover it off in that time. Otherwise, we'll save it to the end and work through it in the question sections, if that's okay with everybody. So without further ado, I'm just going to hand you over to Phil just to introduce himself. Then I'll explain a little bit more about me and the course in a bit more detail.
Okay, fantastic. Well, hello everyone. I'm Philip, one of the lead tutors, and we can say architects, one of the designers of the Level 7 AI apprenticeship. So I've been building that with Chris and Celine. So if you do join the apprenticeship, you'll see exactly who they are. Very, very massive pool of information and of expertise there. So really great fun to work with them. And so I have a background in computer science and network solutions, I've been specializing in neural network architecture for a fair few years now, and over the past 5 years I've actually had the pleasure of teaching and working with professionals in the data science industry. And I'm really excited to walk you through what this level program has to offer, and also show you how it can help you to level up your skills, especially now that more and more organizations are starting to see how powerful this data can be. So thanks very much. I'll look forward to explaining everything when it comes up.
Brilliant. Thanks, Phil. And it's really good to have you on board today as well. So thank you very much for making time to come onto this session. Without you, I'd be, to be honest, completely lost. And whenever anybody asks any questions, all I'd be doing is saying to people, "I'll get back to you. I'll email you." So thank you very much for coming and being the knowledge base for today. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Nick Wall. I'm the talent development strategist lead for Projecting Success, which is a wonderfully ambiguous job title. Nobody knows what it means, and it means I can do what I want. I wish. But basically, my role is twofold. So the first part of my role is to talk to people in meetings like this, where we provide information, advice, and guidance on courses, and in many ways we talk to our employers, employer partners, and potential apprenticeship delegates to see what they want to get out of the course, and then we are there in a position to provide information, advice, and guidance on what course we think is the best match for them. And some of them is not an apprenticeship isn't the right thing, and we're not afraid to say to people that actually we don't think this is right for you either. So that's part of my role. And then I also work really closely with employer partners once their apprenticeship delegates join our course as well, providing them with support and making sure that they're getting the service that we promised them in the first place, and that we're delivering everything that we said we'd deliver during the apprenticeship program. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. So in terms of the next bit, we're just going to cover off the Level 7 apprenticeship from a very high level before we go into some more details, as I said, about the cool stuff that we do. So for those of you that know Projecting Success of old, you might well know us for our Level 4 courses, and some of you might even have known us for our more recent level 3 project support courses. But you might also be asking the question, why level 7? Why jump from level 4 up straight up to level 7? And why are you looking to do artificial intelligence? Historically, we've always been data analytics within project delivery or data technician for project support. And the answer is quite simple, but split over a couple of different sort of areas, really. So the first thing is that we were looking at doing something else because we had a whole raft of people who had done the level 4 course with us and completed and asked what's next. And at that time, we didn't have anything to offer anybody over and above the level 4 course. So it was kind of like, well, that's it, folks. You're on your own now. And we really wanted to continue supporting our employers and our apprenticeship delegates. And we listened to our employer partners, and a lot of them were looking at strengthening their AI within the business, but they didn't understand how and how that would work in project delivery. So we decided to have a look at that. In terms of why the level 7, so well, in order to explain that, I'll just run you through how the different apprenticeship levels work. So the level 3 is the equivalent to a couple of A levels, and as I say, we do the level 3 data technician course for that, and that covers project support people. And then we first started doing the apprenticeships with the level 4, which is what's classed as a higher apprenticeship, and that's the equivalent to a HNC qualification. So most people then think, well, actually, the most sensible thing to do, if you do level 3, level 4, is to do level 5, then offer level 6, and then offer level 7. The reason we didn't was because we didn't feel that level 5 was a big enough jump over the level 4. And we are a data-driven business. We have to be, because that's what we sell to you guys. And we looked at the data of the level 6, and we didn't like that it wasn't also like the level 5. It wasn't a massive jump over the level 4, but equally it was a 4-year-long course, and that's a lot of time for somebody to put into an apprenticeship study. And as a result of it, the completion rates are actually quite low for a level 6. It's sub 50%. And what we don't want to do is create a poor apprenticeship journey for our employers and our apprenticeship delegates, where they kind of just, the last thing that they remember about doing their apprenticeship and the last thing they remember about working with us is that they didn't complete their course. So we thought it was really important that we put them on a course that would actually give them the upskill knowledge that is a jump over the level 4, but also give you a good opportunity to complete the course as well. And as you'll see in a couple of slides time, the level 7 is a much shorter course to do it, and does much cooler stuff. So we'll be able to stretch you a little bit further. So as you can see from this slide, a level 7 is the equivalent to a degree apprenticeship. It's actually the equivalent to a master's. So if we just compare the two, so they are quite different. Although they're both level 7, they're both equivalent to one another. Level 7 apprenticeship is like all apprenticeships. It's work-based learning, whereas the masters, you would have to leave work and do your studies at university, whether that was open university at home or actually attending a uni. Again, the masters is very theoretical. Whereas all apprenticeships are very practical in their focus, in that we take great pride in being able to provide you with the theory and then show you how it works in practice in your role. This is where it starts to get a little bit different. So the level 7 for an apprenticeship is a professional certification. So it's still a level 7 qualification, but it's classed as a professional, whereas the master's is an academic qualification. Again, the master's, as you can see there, it's got a very broad application, whereas the level 7 that we're doing is we are tailoring it to project delivery and project management. And then this is the really big thing, I guess. The apprenticeships, as always, are either funded by the government or funded by an employer partner levy pot. Whereas if you went to do your masters, you'd have to pay your tuition fees, and then you'd be in for something around about £20,000 to do the course, whereas if you do it through your apprenticeship, then it either the tab gets picked up by somebody else effectively. So in terms of the course headlines, so two numbers that I want you to just think about to start with is 42 and 23. So those of you that kind of did the level 4 with us, or even the level 3 previously, the 42 is the number of off-the-job training days, the self-study, the portfolio creation. The way that an apprenticeship works is very similar no matter what level that you do, whether it be a level 2 up straight up to level 7. It's all practical learning, creating portfolio, off-the-job training hours, attending lessons, and then doing self-study, and then you're doing your endpoint assessment at the end of it. So if those 42 days are off-the-job training hours, then it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that those 23 hours would actually be your lessons that you're attending. So in terms of the course itself, so it's an 18-month long course, so significantly less time than it would be to do your level 6, which, as I said, was 4 years plus EPA. The EPA lends itself about another 3 months on top of the 18 months, so you should be able to complete your apprenticeship within about 21 months. Just like the level 3 and the level 4, the training is tutor led, so it's live, it's in real time, and just like the level 4, we cap the numbers of our delegates, so you have that level of interaction with your tutor, and you have that level of interaction with the other apprenticeship delegates. As I said, the lessons will be live and in real time, and we think that's really important because we want you to have that interaction with your tutor, but we also want you to exponentially grow your experience by talking to the other apprenticeship delegates on program as well. Again, very similar to the level 4, you have regular reviews with us. So every sort of 6 to 8 weeks, you'll have a review with your tutor to make sure that your work is up to the right standard. And just as importantly, that you are looking to complete your course on time. Being that we're advocates of using data analytics within project delivery to make your projects complete more on time and closer to budget or beat budget, it would be probably remiss of us if we didn't do regular reviews with you to make sure that you're completing on time with this one. So again, just like the level 4, your portfolios are electronic, so everything that you do is uploaded onto our central systems, so we can look at it live in real time. And the off-the-job training hours are exactly the same in terms of 20% of your working week on average for your apprenticeship studies. Hopefully, a number of you, as previous apprenticeship delegates, will either have attended our hack or be aware of our hackathons. If you'd not been before, we actually have one on the 22nd and 23rd of October at Rolls-Royce Derby. So sort of aside for this, if it does something that would be of interest to you, fire me a quick message after this one, and I'll sort you out an invite and get some tickets over to you. We'd love to see you at the hack. We've got about 100 people booked into it at the moment. Our maximum, I think, is 150 for this event. But we'd love to see you there, and it's a lot of fun to kind of be involved in it as well. Okay. So in terms of the course, don't worry, you're not going to hear my voice for much longer, and I'm certainly not going to read through all of these knowledge, skills, and behaviours. But we will send these slides over to you so you can see in a little bit more detail what the course covers and what each module would cover in terms of the apprenticeship studies. But if anybody that did the level 3 and level 4, as again, as I said, the KSBs will be something that you'll be well versed in, because every module that we have links back to the curriculum or the KSBs that you have to do with your apprenticeship studies. So that's a very sort of high level overview of the apprenticeship itself. So in terms of giving it a little bit more detail, I'm just going to hand you over to Phil now, and he's going to talk to you a bit more about the course in itself.
Thanks very much, Nick. So lots of information to take in, but we will be walking through a lot of those things. So we are going to split our outcomes firstly into 3 areas. It may not surprise you to see that there's knowledges, skills, and we've changed behaviors to attributes because they are things that you will be picking up, and they're exceptional ways of measuring progress. So we want to look at the AI principles firstly to understand what they are. What is AI and what is machine learning? We want to demystify all of these terms for you. Then we also want to see how you can select different machine learning models based on your data, your requirements, your projects, to be able to get the best outcome possible, as well as the software that you could actually be using, because there's a wide array of software, and we don't want you to have to fit our model. We want to help you to fit everything to your model, and this is extremely important. This is why apprenticeships are really, really useful. They're practical, and they're helping you to apply everything directly to your roles. So with regards to skills, well, we want to look at this data analysis and interpretation. So we want to use advanced data analysis to get these actionable insights and understand what is going on, or what will happen with your data that just can't be achieved in other ways, as well as using these machine learning models, these AI models, and applying them to real world data. We also want to look at the ethical considerations. This is an extremely important part of the frontier of machine learning. As we develop these tools, we really want to understand the consequences legally, very important, socially, and also ethically. It's extremely important to have this idea of what you're doing with your tools. Finally, we've got these attributes where you're going to be constantly testing your problem solving skills and your critical thinking, and pushing yourself until you can achieve a goal. I'm sure you're all very well aware of that in your roles day to day. So we want to be able to arm you with even more tools to be able to do so even more effectively. You'll also be working in teams on some of the modules where we have some hackathons built into the course to be able to provide you with this solid foundation to be able to develop projects by yourself and in team environments. And finally, also leadership and project management. And there's a big focus on project management as well during this apprenticeship, because it's really important to be able to lead a project and understand how best to approach your data and get the most out of it. So all of these knowledge, skills, and attributes will be heavily included in this apprenticeship. So it's really a well-rounded apprenticeship, and we're extremely proud of what we've been able to achieve with it. So if we move on to some examples now of what we'll be looking at. Well, throughout the apprenticeship, we'll be looking at how you can develop predictive models with your data, not with test data, but with your data. And this is to be able to optimize any processes, forecasting any spend or trends, or to be able to do some other really cool stuff that we will look at with some examples. So this should help you to identify any patterns in your data to make some real changes, and focus on building some automation pipelines and save you a lot of time and effort. That's the most important thing. We always talk about return on investment at projecting success. For some departments, the accounting departments, obviously that's a financial return on investment. But we also really find that the biggest return on investment that we have from learners, from people taking the apprenticeship, is time. We always hear that, oh, I've been able to save this many hours per week, and everyone in my team is just so grateful to be able to take that workload off, so we can really get to the important stuff in the data analysis. So this is what we really want to look at as well. So this is our goal with building these predictive models. So if you could move on to the next slide, we're going to look at some really useful examples in the real world. So we do have some examples like Netflix, which use machine learning for its recommendation systems, and they identify trends between watching habits. Now, you may have noticed that when you finish a series or a film, then they always say, oh, maybe you'll like this. Well, this is actually looking at your trends, your habits, and this gives more effective recommendations that can be generated. We'll also be looking, if we look at the video that's currently playing in the Atari 2600, really useful for these reinforcement learning models. We can see here that it's not very good at playing the game at the moment, but over time it begins to learn through its errors. And this is reinforcement learning. And DeepMind actually trained to play this model, to play this game with absolutely no prior knowledge. And it only used the screen data as input that was able to achieve ridiculous results, even better than humans, because it would learn the different angles at which the ball would bounce off of the paddle. And actually, Chris, one of the other tutors, developed this, and he discovered that it found some ways in which it could cheat the system, because technically failing is when the timer stops. So it learned that, well, I can just pause the game and keep the timer going for as long as possible, and I can achieve perfect results every time. So it actually, you have to tweak the results, but it managed to think of things that maybe we wouldn't even think of, because we've given it a certain amount of rules and it's been able to figure those out. So it's really interesting stuff with building predictive models. So these are just some examples. Obviously, these are completely apart unless you work for Netflix or Atari, to being able to apply it to your roles. But we will help you to find ways to do that, and we'll do it even more with building these neural networks and deep learning algorithms. So these are performing complex analysis with lots of different media, including images, videos, audio, and text. We'll be able to identify objects in images. So you may I'm sure you're very well aware of these capture images where you have to identify the bicycles in the photograph or whatever there is. Well, this is Google actually training its models. And we have these large language models as well, like ChatGPT, which have revolutionized the way that we use chatbots. And it's not just a simple question and answer. It's a really big deal now. So this natural language processing can help to give us more back than just a solid number. So if we look at the examples here, we've got these generative adversarial networks, which can actually slowly see the steps between one extreme to another. And I'm sure that some of you have used the Face app application where you can see yourself as an old person or as a baby or as the opposite sex. Well, these are actually using these generative adversarial networks. I think you're going ahead of yourself there, Nick. If we go back one, thank you. It's no problem, don't worry. I can see you apologising, it's fine. So these are actually using these networks to be able to slowly change one thing into another. And we can see that example here where we have a man slowly becoming a woman, and it's managed to find those features which make those two distinctions. And we also have these handwritten text identifications, which we will be looking at in the course itself. So this is a massive transformation to be able to not just detect your handwriting, but also to be able to detect it and translate it. I'm sure that some of you have used Google Translate using the camera, and it's been able to translate things in real time in front of you. So there are these really useful, fun ones like generative adversarial networks, being able to change these things. We've got the handwritten text identification. An extremely important one is the early cancer detection. So this is one of the use cases that we have where we can feed a model with millions and millions and millions of images of malignant and benign tumours. And eventually it will be able to pick out which is a benign and a malignant tumour. And if you think about the difference between a human doctor being able to use their experience, what they've read in textbooks, what they've also seen in real life, compared to what all doctors have seen ever, and which ones have resulted in one thing or another, well, then we can suddenly get a lot more accurate, a much more accurate tool to be able to determine what is what. And this can actually affect how we act upon the results. So some really useful tools here that we can develop using the skills that we will be looking at in the apprenticeship. So if we go to the next slide, please, Nick. So we'll also be looking at some really interesting potential uses for Python. Obviously, you don't all have the same project. So we want you to be able to tailor those different tools to your project. So that whether that be API connection creation or using APIs to be able to connect to other companies' data, to be able to extract that data, to source and query that data. We also connect other tools to Python like SQL and being able to extract that data as well, combine that data that we've taken from websites, so web scraping as well, to be able to ethically collect that data from the web pages. And finally, other Python packages. There's so many, and this is why Python is such a big tool, because it's so diverse and people have created so many tools to add on to Python to be able to connect, to create applications or to source data. So there's so much to look at here. So we hope to give you the tool and also the quest for this knowledge to be able to actually look at it yourself and come back and find these solutions too. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Nick, thank you. So some examples, for example, these are some of my projects here that I've combined data from different sources. I've been able to scrape web data and build an application using Python to be able to predict what the weather will be, so that I can predict which clothes that you should wear, whether that be if you're on holiday, if you're going on holiday, so it takes that into the different temperatures. Also building dashboards, interactive dashboards. So and yet again, being able to do all of this in Python is extremely important, and all of this has been done thanks to that combination of data from various sources and being able to think outside of the box. So there's lots of stuff in this data toolkit, and we will be building on as well. The more we work with people, the more we'll see the need for these tools, and the more we'll be able to tailor it to your needs as well. So there's so much potential with this data toolkit. If I could have the next slide, please, Nick. Thank you. So we'll also be looking at software development. So it's really going to round out this data science discipline. And it's an extremely transferable skill, which is outside of machine learning, but it does allow for automation, your own custom programs, and upskills for broader job opportunities as well. Once you understand that project management, once you understand how to approach a project, it's so much more simple to be able to apply it to other areas. And it also expands the possibilities of what can be achieved with these pre-made software packages. You can develop these add-ons. So it's not aimed to make you professional software developers, but it does make you confident and skilled enough with a tool set to be able to expand your potential and also to converse with people in a software development setting. So if I could have the next slide, please, Nick, thank you. So just a quick overview of the basic machine learning pipeline. Well, we've spoken about a few things, and this is what we really want to get through, that we've got this data ingestion part, and we're talking about sourcing your data. Well, this is going to be included in the apprenticeship. We'll also be covering the data cleaning and the pre-processing to be able to make your model as precise as possible and useful as possible. Then coming to model evaluation, there will be some statistics, but it won't be too heavy. We'll be able to explain it in a really simple context and be able to bring you on up to the level rather than speaking down to you. It's not as horrible as it sounds. I always cringe when I hear statistics, but it's not that bad, I promise. And finally, when we come through this evaluation, we have this deployment part, which is also extremely important. You can't go through all of this timeline without finally deploying it and doing something with it. And whether that be for public use or whether that be for your team or just for yourself, we'll look at different methods in which you can deploy your models. But we will teach you all of this, and we'll give you an overview of the application of this. So you'll be able to extract your data from whichever sources you need, process that data, feed it into a model, and this will help you to make more informed decisions for the business. So it's a really important pipeline to take into account, but also to just remember that it's fine. You know, we're going to go through all of this. It's quite simple, and as long as you keep an idea of what you want to do, then you will be able to do it. So if we can have the next slide, please. So we just have a quick look at the course outline. So we've got sorry, one second, let me just get my notes. We've got the content here. So this is something which we looked at before, but we are developing constantly. So we've got the introduction to AI and machine learning. We're looking at data science for business, but also going into the nitty gritty. So by the end, you'll be able to do whatever you want with these skills. We also have the machine learning algorithms, a deep learning, going more and more into this image detection. If you want to, for example, I've had apprentices in the past wanting to transcribe Microsoft Teams conversations for meeting notes, just making their life a lot easier. Well, they were able to do it using Python. So this is definitely something which can bring you up to speed. Obviously, they have the transcription app, but this may be blocked in certain organizations, and it's really useful to have your own in-house one. We also have this data architecture and pipelines, the ethics, again, so important. And finally, this data security as well, being able to understand what you're doing with your data and how you're best storing it. So if we could move on to possibly the most important part, this surprise. So our coup de grace, pièce de la résistance, pineapple on our, well, maybe not pineapple on pizza, but we actually are, I think we're the only apprenticeship provider which will be able to offer you to top up to a master's degree. So essentially, just like Oprah says, you get a master's, you get a master's, you get a master's. And with whom is this? Well, this will be doing it in conjunction with the University of Sheffield. And we will actually be able to do this, to add on a bridging module to do 6 months with the University of Sheffield to be able to get this master's degree. So it's a highly desired academic qualification, expanding future job opportunities. I think we were trolling you in the past saying, oh, masters, schmasters. Well, you can get both. And this is really exciting because you will be able to not only apply everything to your jobs, but you will be able to get official recognition from one of the top universities for data science in the country. So I want to end on a high note, and I'd love to hand over to Nick if there are any questions. So please, Nick, take it away. My throat's getting sore. I've spoken too much.
Thank you very much, Phil. So that was a bit of a surprise for you. So yes, you can do the level 7 qualification with us, but you do have the ability to upgrade that to the masters as well. We're really thrilled to be working with Sheffield University on that. And as Phil said, we're one of the only people that have the ability to do that with the level 7. So but now, guys, it's over to you. Does anybody have any questions with regards to the course or start dates or anything in particular that you want to talk about with this?
I believe you have to type in the chat. I don't think you are able to unmute your microphones. So please do feel free to type into the chat.
Oh, I think we've got a question coming. That's a great question. How many cohorts are currently doing this course? This will be the first cohort that we do. So this is our pilot scheme. We have potentially another one scheduled for next March. We're not looking for massive numbers on this. But we're probably looking at no more than sort of 10, 15 people or 10% of our alumni to do this course. This is a really specialized for people that want to make the change, to be change agents with AI within the business. Adam, what happens if you change employment? It's exactly the same answer as it would be for any apprenticeship. As long as your new employer is happy to continue funding your apprenticeship with their apprenticeship levy, or just giving you the time to do it, and it can be government funded, then you can continue doing your apprenticeship with us. So that isn't a problem. Oh God, could I give you an idea of the organisation sectors that the cohort as a whole is coming from? Everybody is within the project delivery world, and if I can stop sharing you for a moment. I'm just going to have a look through my latest figures. So we've got one person looking to join from science and technology. We've got 2 people coming as currently signed up within infrastructure construction, and then we've got a couple of businesses looking to join through defence. And then we've got another couple that are AI related. So the answer, I guess, is pretty broad, I'm afraid. Sorry, Dan, apologies for this. You mentioned web development for deploying solutions as a web applications. What about cloud-based deployment for pipelines, etc.? Phil, I'm going to hand this one over to you.
Yeah,
I can see you grinning there. You knew I was going to do it, didn't you?
I was waiting for it. So yeah, good question. Basically, as this is more of a data science, artificial intelligence apprenticeship, we will be focusing heavily on the development of machine learning models to be able to create solutions. However, we do have at the end of the apprenticeship a couple of months which will look more at cloud computing, big data and software engineering to be able to deploy them. It's not so much web development, it's software development. However, this will be enough to be able to converse with software developers, to be able to actually, or software engineers, to be able to actually create the project together and deploy it. So again, the great thing about apprenticeships is it's not rigid. We will speak to you. We will try and find a solution with you for your needs. And this is the best part about apprenticeships. It's all extremely practically geared. So if there are cloud-based deployment, we will be looking at cloud computing, and we will be trying to do as much as possible to be able to equip you with those skills to be able to meet your goals.
Thanks, Will. Does anybody else have any other further questions, or have we answered everything that you need so far? Oh, is the course online? Yeah, all the learning is all the lessons are online, but they will be live in real time. So we would like you to attend those sessions, the teaching sessions, when they're on, but they will also be recorded, so if you're on holiday or you're off sick for that particular day, then you can resubmit it, look at it again.
Yeah, Michael, I completely agree with that. We actually will be looking. One of the requirements of the apprenticeship is to always look at upcoming technologies as well, new solutions as well. It is moving so quickly, and it would be extremely naive of us to create a rigid course, because we'd have to do it again in 1 year if we didn't factor that in. So definitely.
Yes, we will send you the recording of this, and for those of you who are gluttons of punishment, you can rewatch us talking to you about it. We'll also send the slides over to you, so you can go through it at your leisure. So in terms of what's next, if there's no further questions, then each and every one of you has been invited by me, so you have my contact details. If you have any further questions, feel to drop me a message. I'd be happy to come back and answer, and if I don't know the answer, I'll get Phil to answer it for me. But if it is something that you'd like to progress with, many of you will have to get business case sign off from your employers. But if you could make us aware that you'd like to join the course, then we'll pencil you in and reserve you a slot pending you getting that business case approval. And then once you do have that business case approval, we'll run through the enrolment process, and then we're looking to start this course at the end of September, so it'll be the 30th of September. So we're really looking for confirmation of numbers, confirmation of joining the course by the second week in September. So we've got enough time to enrol you, get you on program. But in the meantime, I want to thank you all for giving up your lunch today. Hopefully you have been able to eat something while we've been talking to you. But if you have any questions, please do get in contact. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.